Hey friends, it's Shirley Bovshow with the Home and Family Show, and today I want to talk a little bit about florist or indoor azaleas. Now, if you are a lucky person this holiday season, someone may have gifted you a beautiful plant like this. You know, usually they come with a pretty wrapper, and you know, some of you may have azaleas in your yard and you're wondering, how is an azalea blooming right now in the middle of winter? Well, I want you to understand something about these special plants. They are cultivated and grown in a greenhouse under very specific temperatures and lighting conditions. So when you receive it, your plant is going to say, hey, where am I? And it's going to expect certain conditions in order to continue blooming and looking beautiful through the season, and for you to keep it alive year-round. Number one, I want you to understand that a florist or an indoor azalea primarily is for indoors. During the spring, when it starts to warm up, you can take it outdoors and place it in a patio. Once it starts to outgrow its little container, then you want to repot it with a special soil that is really, I want you to pay attention to this. It actually says Azalea, Camellia, Gardenia planting mix. And what this is, it's a special soil mix that you can also use for planting in the ground, but you can also use this soil as a potting soil for plants like azaleas, camellias, and gardenias that need acidic conditions. So you can do that in the spring if your plant outgrows its pot. But now, about taking care of it. The first thing you want to do is you want to put it in the coldest room of your house. I know that sounds kind of weird, like, hey, I've got this gorgeous plant. I don't want to be in a room that's 50 degrees. Well, guess what? Do you want it to bloom? It's going to look gorgeous. And you really can put it in maybe a hallway or a place that doesn't get direct heat, because it will become really unhappy when the temperatures are over 70 degrees, which sounds really cozy for us. But that is really a reality of this plant. If it's between 50 and 70, it's going to do really well. Make sure that it's in a place where it gets indirect lighting for about 6 hours a day. That also is going to help so that the latent buds, I want to show you something, come on closer. For instance, this plant is full of flowers, but see this little bud? All right, well that's going to be coming up in about 2 weeks. So if you put it in a cold room, it will encourage it to go through that process. If it's warm, it's going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to sleep. And it might just drop off. So you don't want that. You want to encourage it to bloom. The thing about fertilizing now is that you do not want to fertilize this plant while it's blooming. So it's really important for you to wait until the last bud blooms. And then you want to fertilize it again. I have here EB Stone's Camellia, Azalea, and Gardenia food, specifically for acid-loving plants. This is a really good blend, but don't do it while it's in flower. Wait, and then just follow the instructions for a container plant. Now, you want to know, how often do I need to water this gorgeous azalea? Well, I've got to tell you, a lot of the times they come potted in soil that has a lot of peat in it. And peat is wonderful, but it also dries out quickly. So the trick is this. When you receive your plant for the first time, it'll probably look like this. It has a wrapper. Remove that wrapper and totally water your plant. Then I want you to do something. I want you to pick it up and feel how heavy it is when it's fully loaded with water or when it's just been watered. That is how you know if your plant needs to be watered. Because I can come over here and I can touch the top of my florist indoor azalea and I'm thinking, oh, you know, it's kind of moist. It probably doesn't need water. But don't be misled, guys. As soon as I pick it up, I'm like, oh, it's light. So what happens is, and if you take a look at this, I'm going to prove it to you, that it can feel wet but not really be wet. I'm going to immerse it in this water. And if you come closer, you're going to see that bubbles are going to start to emerge. Which means that water is now displacing those empty pockets where it was just dry. And so every few days, once a week, you want to pick it up, feel to see how light it is or how heavy it is. Dip it in here until the last bubble has finished bursting. And then what I want you to do is I want you to get a tray and fill it with gravel. You want to put a little bit of water in it. And then you want to set your azalea on top. Now what's going to happen is, because the azalea needs an ambiance, it's humid, and usually when your heater is on, it's not humid, it's dry in the house. This is going to give a nice ambient humidity for the plants to be at their best. So placing your azalea on top of pebbles with water is a great practice. Now, say your plant is doing great and it's getting a little big. What you need to do is make sure that you get a specific soil for repotting it. And you don't want to repot it while it's in flower. Wait until the spring when it's a little bit warmer. And then use an azalea mix, something specific. EB Stone has a good one. It's organic, and it's going to give your plant everything that it needs. So anyways, it's really fun to receive gorgeous indoor azaleas. Just know what you're getting into. You will need to keep watering them, but they're not that fussy. Put them in a cool room and pass by them and enjoy them. Give them a little kiss. You're going to love it. And so, for tips like this, just watch me on the Home and Family Show, weekdays on the Hallmark Channel. Bye, guys.